Also, a music specialist we now have waiting on the phone to chat to us, and that's Tom Nazziola. Hello to you, first of all.
Hi, how are you?
Well, we're fine, thank you. What's the weather like in your part of the world?
It's early.
Well, thank you so much for being conscious for our phone call. Now, you come from a long musical background, Eastman School of Music, distinctions as a percussion major. You've worked with classical and jazz programs. Also, I see you've written music for a lot of television and film projects, but can you tell us about this sort of, well, the baby Einstein, and in particular about the Pets music?
Sure. Well, the brief segue is I worked for Disney's Baby Einstein for several years, since the beginning of that project. And basically the focus of Disney's Baby Einstein, of course, is to create music and visuals to entertain children. Mm-hmm. And I was interested in the effects of classical music not only on people but on animals as a result of doing that project, and decided to explore that a bit. So for a few years, actually, I did my own research on the effects of classical music on pets, and found that it had a very common quality provided you used certain classical music and you controlled the environment.
Do you have a collection of animals yourself, Tom?
I grew up with a dog most of the time. From my parents. Of course, we had a dog when I was a child, and we had other domestic pets in the house, but it was primarily a dog, so the interest and familiarity came from that.
I mean, presumably different animals have a different pitch in their ears, so what's almost inaudible to us would be almost painful, say, to a dog with very acute hearing.
Well, you know what? For dogs, for instance, the difference is that they have a higher range that they're able to hear, higher frequencies. However, what they respond to, and what I found interesting, is not so much the pitch but the timbre of what they hear. And that's why in this CD, Classic Cuts by Music My Pet, I was careful about what instruments were used. Not just classical music, but the tones, the timbres that were heard by the pets.
I played the CD, I must say, at home. I've got an adopted dog at home. She thinks she's a sort of a sheepdog collie type, so she likes whizzing about. She lay down and crossed her paws and sort of very sleepy, but a bit quizzical, because normally in my house I'm playing African drum music, etc., auditioning for a world music programme I do as well. But it definitely had an effect.
Yeah.
Now, I've got with me in the studio here, Tom, a dog trainer who lives locally here in Spain, Paul Cassell, who I know has also got a keen interest in this music. So if I could just introduce you to Paul as well. Paul, have you got a question?
Oh, great.
Good afternoon, Tom.
Well, hang on, I haven't given you a microphone yet. Let's try again, shall we? Go on.
Good afternoon, Tom.
That's better.
It was actually me that asked Hannah to get you onto this programme because I have a very keen interest in music with dogs. I mean, when I'm out of the house now, like I'm in the studio, I play classical music in the background, but I agree with you 100%. It has to be a certain type of classical music. I can't play the 1812 Overture whilst I'm out because the dog goes loopy.
That's right.
I play Baroque, or, kind of like the, what's the word for that kind of religiously music-y type thing?
Sort of Baroque, fairly, yes.
All that instrumental monk music. That's quite soothing. And when you when you said that your dog just lies there and crosses the paws, it's amazing. When I play house music, my dog just goes out into the garden, hates the stuff. So it's really, really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to listening to the CD.
Yeah. Tom, do you find that cats react very differently?
You know what? That's a really good question, because there are some products out there that are touting the difference in the way pets respond. In other words, I've seen CDs that were created for cats, some for dogs, some for birds, and I found that the response is the same. In fact, I had some friends when I first did this CD, I did some beta testing, and I wanted to know how this worked with different domestic pets. And in fact, in one instance, a friend of mine had just given a cat some catnip, and of course, they can tend to bounce off the walls when you do that. And she put the CD on, and they went from bouncing off the walls to gravitating toward the front of the speaker, and sitting there for the length of the CD, listening.
Wow.
In front of the speaker. So I don't think there's a difference. I think basically domestic pets respond in the same manner. What's more important is that you find something that has a calming effect. And in fact, if it works on humans, it will most likely work on pets because they're very tied to us emotionally. They respond the way we do emotionally. And you can use a human's reaction as a good gauge.
So you could get your toddler that's being a bit kind of over the top and plonk it in the same room as the dog and hope they kind of go all peaceful together.
Hopefully. I mean, with children, it should work there as well. But, I can't guarantee every situation, especially if a child is hungry or something's going on and they're crying or cranky. The CD might not do it.
Now, I mean, on your album, you've got sort of extracts from Beethoven, Bach, Brahms, Schubert, Chopin, Schumann, and others. Did you literally just use your existing knowledge of all the classics to try and then put together the correct sort of a selection here?
Yes. In fact, I chose those composers because they're famous and well-known. So I wanted it to be a CD where people recognize the artists, the composers, but also when I would choose a piece that I thought would work or that I was fond of, I would also go through and decide what the edits would be because I wanted a certain harmonic content. In other words, there are certain parts of a piece, even though I might like the piece, that I felt would not be calming to the pet. So I would create an edit of that piece based on my knowledge of harmony and how I think it will affect a pet.
I mean, you're also a writer and a composer. Are you tempted to actually just write your own original material for such CDs?
Well, it's true, I write my own music, but the thinking here is that although I like what I do, I'm not currently not as famous as someone like Beethoven or Mozart or Bach. So I wanted to be very realistic about this. People are going to see the CD, hopefully, at the store. Mm-hmm. What's going to attract them to this if they've never heard about it before? Well, they're going to be familiar with the composers, and it's going to be music that they're familiar with. So I just think that you have a better chance of getting an audience for this with music they're familiar with. And that's it's interesting you bring that up because it's a big difference between my product and other CDs that set out to do the same thing. They have original music, but no one's heard of these composers or the music.
I should imagine that something like an indoor dog show or something, or cat show, would be awfully clever, wouldn't it, to soothe the animals down so you don't get all that kind of tension going on before the competition?
That's something that we're pursuing, actually, our trainers, because that's exactly the case. It's to relieve anxiety.
Okay, Tom, well, this is interesting because I've got a dog show next Saturday, so I'm going to try it out. And you actually sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say I'm interested in the results with anyone that buys this because, pets are like people. They have personalities. Just if you were to recommend something for people, there are going to be instances where maybe it doesn't work. And you have to factor that into the equation. So I'm always interested in learning and hearing what happens with each pet owner.
Well, I will come back to you and give you feedback after next Saturday's dog show because you came to my attention through Dr. John's newsletter. Do you know him?
Yes, he's actually recommended our product.
He recommends you
Product Advisor.
Yeah, no, that's how I found out about you. And it's quite funny because music's quite an interesting thing because people say to me, why don't I leave TRE on when I'm out of the house? Well, when the dog hears me on the radio, he goes ballistic because my friends say that our dogs go mad when we hear you on the radio. And I said, well, don't play it. Play them this classical music. Now I'm going to recommend your CD.
And that's another interesting point. And I've talked about this in previous interviews. Some people will say, well, why should I buy the CD? Why can't I just put on a classical station and let the pet listen to that? And the reason is that you can't control the content of that station. So, true, there may be a nice Brahms piano intermezzo playing, which will calm them, but if Beethoven's Fifth is the next selection on the program, they're going to, jump out the window.
I was playing a CD, actually, of sort of native North American music, which has a lot of that kind of the flute. It's very eerie and spooky. And my dog kind of went and hid behind a chair because he obviously thought that, Wolf was going to jump out or something at any minute.
Yeah, they're very sensitive to what they hear, which is why I spent a good deal of time testing this first. And testing is as simple as creating a first run of the piece and having either myself or the producer or someone else put it on and observe the pet's reaction. It's that simple.
So your other CD, Baby Britannia, is that the same but geared for humans?
Baby Britannia is a little bit of a different approach and purpose. The producer of that whole concept was interested in developing something where if a child moves to another country, something other than where they're from, where they're born, the idea is to reacquaint them with their heritage and their background. So, for instance, CD Britannia would be useful for a child who was, say, born in the UK and moved to America, and their parents wanted them to know something about their background. So that whole CD is filled with music and themes that are related to the United Kingdom, but also geared towards a child's ears.
Well, I mean, that could be an unlimited series, couldn't it? Because so much diaspora going on in the world. You've got people coming from Eastern Europe or whatever into different parts of Europe with rich and varied traditional roots music from where they'd come from.
That's correct.
Well, it looks like you're going to have your work cut out and be pretty busy over the coming weeks and months, Tom.
Yes.
It'll also make a great Christmas present for pet lovers.
Yeah, I mean, now's really, the time to do that, and it is a great gift because, it's something that you can use. It's not just a toy that'll maybe be popular for a small period and then thrown out or discarded. I mean, this, especially if, like most people, we're busy, we have to go to work, we can't always be with our pets, I encourage people to put this on when they leave the house.
Tom, I've got another guest in my studio is Nazziola, who is a vet, who would like to just put a point to you as well.
Sure.
I'm just thinking maybe it'd be a very good idea also to play it in the hospitalization area.
Yeah. Oh, of your
animals
veterinary
recovering
clinic.
of operations or ill and on drips, and just to calm them then.
Well, we've been, for a while now, in fact, we have a little thing on our website, we've been giving this CD free, offering it as a free product to pet kennels and also rehabilitation, anything like a pet hospital or adoption services for that specific purpose. Pets come into a new facility, it's unfamiliar to them, they tend to experience anxiety right away. So we're trying to do that and even offering to just give the CD in a situation like that, because we believe that if they have the CD in, say, an animal hospital or an adoption service, people that come to adopt a pet or bring their pet back might take their pet back, will hear about it, and they'll go out and buy it. So we have confidence in doing something like that and it producing results.
Tom, we also have in the studio here David McNally, who is involved very much with the charity of saving animals that have been abandoned, which happens all too much here in Spain, sadly. David, do you want to put your point?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this sounds fascinating because we have 150 dogs at any one time in our kennels, and they do tend to get quite excited sometimes and barking and going around. So this might be a very good idea. We might try this out and play it to them through the kennels. We've got
that's an excellent idea. We're starting to do that now. We've been offering to do it for a while, but I think some of these companies and organizations are warming up to the idea. They just have to see it work. I mean, that's really what it's all about. If you see something work, then you believe in it and you want to do more with it.
Yes, I'd certainly like to give it a try if we can.
I'm going to give out the website now, Tom. It's www.musicmypet.com, all one word. The best of luck with the future, every success with this enterprise, and I think you might be getting a lot of emails coming to you from Europe, saying whether it's worked or not. I'm sure it will.
Well, that would be great.
Tom, thank you so much for coming on the programme. I'm sorry if we woke you up horribly early.
No problem.
Just one quick final point from Nazziola.
How much does this CD cost?
The CD is $12.99.
That dollars?
Yes, $12.99 in American dollars, and we do sell it around the world. So we are set up to take orders from any country. on our website. And there's also a toll-free number, but it's probably easiest to just order online directly.
Excellent. Tom, thank you so much indeed for coming on the programme. Thanks
for having me.
Bye-bye.